Today, I want to do a quick video because of all the requests out there. But before I start, I think I've been shadow banned for the first time. The video I have on data, information, etc., it has like 700 views on it, and the other views on my other videos seem to be going up at the same rate before. I mean, I think I should be around 3,000 or 4,000, and so I don't understand this shadow banning. Now, yesterday, that gentleman who keeps coming in with the fake crypto and dropping them into my comments, I caught him again, and I reported him. Is that why it got shadow banned? And if it is, how long does that last? Could someone help me? And how do I go? I've been looking online. I can't find. Where do I go to TikTok and say, hey, what's going on? I know TikTok says they don't shadow ban, but obviously they do. How do I get out of this? Thank you very much. Okay, so people have asked me over the last couple of days to talk about many different subjects. I want to get to them all, and because there's some really good ideas. So I'm not going to do today on how I pick my narratives, but I will do that. And I'm picking the narratives that I'm going to speak about. But I want to talk about the banks. In particular, people ask me about Goldman Sachs, but I'm going to kind of put this together with JP Morgan because I don't understand the situation. So JP Morgan, they come out, everyone sees that everything's fine. And then the CFO, whoever he was, COO says, we're not going to earn as much net interest that we did last year this year, okay? And the stock throws off $25 billion worth of market value, okay? And then you had Goldman Sachs. They kind of had two things there. The first thing is they said that we're going to write off the last $400 million from our banking venture, which everyone expected. And then there seems to be they lost another $400 million. It was somewhere in the trading, and they said, you know, our trading is down this year. So the first thing I want to talk about is just how the banks calculate their revenue, okay? So let's make it Goldman Sachs. It's all of them, but let's make it Goldman Sachs. So you have your equity division, okay? You trade stocks, people call you in, you trade stocks with them. You have margin interest, you have stock loan interest. You may write derivatives on your equity stock. So depending on what rolls up, everything rolls up into equities. Now, think of Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs, everything I just stated to you is what we call agency. People call up and say, I want to do a trade, you execute the trade, and you charge them for the trade, okay? Then Goldman Sachs has a big book, their own money that they're investing, okay? So one of my pet peeves over the 25 years after I learned this is that these big banks, what they say is this. So you have your own book. So let's say you're managing $600 billion in your own bets, okay? Goldman Sachs said maybe $600 billion. So when you see the balance sheet of a GSIB or JP Morgan, you kind of have to look and say, what are the equity position and what are the loan positions? It could roll up to equities internally in the bank, but what we're talking about here is how does that work? Here's the deal. So let's say all the agency business that you did adds up to $3 billion for the quarter, okay? That's what you got, $3 billion in revenue. But on your principal book, this is your investments in the market, Goldman Sachs investments in the market. Let's say you lose $400 million. How do they tell the street? This is what they say. Our revenues were $2.6 billion. We're going to refocus on our clients this next quarter. They have to tell you that their revenues were down, but what they don't tell us, it was one of their positions that lost the money, okay? And you can go back and look. I've been doing this for years. 99% of the time, we're going to refocus on our clients and make sure. They don't tell you that a position that they held lost a lot of money. So why am I saying this now? Okay, so the banks got hit. And yesterday, if you look, really the smaller and mid-sized banks got hit. And some of the big banks, Morgan and so forth, they took hits, but nothing like JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. So is it possible? I'm saying possible. I didn't say probable. that given the action in the market the last 2 weeks, given this yen carry trade unwind, all right, that any major firm, every major firm, they have their toes in everything, their fingers in everything. There's nothing they're not invested in. So is it possible that the street knows something that we don't know, that these banks got picked off on one of the legs on the yen carry trade unwind, right? You can't have a bank go down $20 billion in what we call TCE, tangible common equity. And the reason being is that our net interest is going to be down this year from last year. That makes no sense. And then Goldman Sachs, it makes sense. Trust me. This is what happens. When you take a big loss, they just put it in their revenue and reduce the revenue and tell you that we're going to focus on our clients now. Okay? And what they're really doing is they're writing off a big loss. Okay? So, did they get with that? I don't know. All right? Do I suspect they got hit with that? Absolutely. All right? But one, the bank stocks got hit way harder than they should have given the news. Just, it's not that big of a deal. Okay? Everyone knew Goldman was going to write off their banking business. We've known that for a year and a half. Okay? That they took a loss, right, in there somewhere in the equity division. What happened? I have no idea. But remember something. I think the biggest oil trader in the world is JP Morgan. The biggest gold trader in the world is JP Morgan. The biggest silver trader, I believe, is JP Morgan. If they're not number one, they're number 2 or 3, all right? So they're the biggest bank in the world. They have their fingers in everything, all right? So something might be going on. We don't know this for a fact. We will find out, but the yen carry trade is still happening. The unwind is not over. So what do you watch? Does the yen go up, which is down in our book, right? It went down to 141.07. We had the crash at 142.40. So we went through the bad part, okay? So we're actually lower. Now we're back up. We're about 142 something, all right? And notice what the Japanese said yesterday. He said, we're not going to buy as many of our bonds now, all right? This is what the BOJ said. The BOJ, remember, owns most of the government bonds of Japan. All right? So what they're saying is we're not going to buy the same percent. We're going to leave a percent on the table. Why would you do that? Because that allows people who are covering their yen trade, they have yen to buy, okay? If they're buying all the bond, they can't go in and buy them and cover their position. So the Japanese are kind of giving them a landing pad to get out of the trade. Because if the Japanese yen, if the unwind continues, okay, that means selling securities somewhere in the world and going back and buying the yen to cover your trade. So if the yen goes down to 135, okay, I remember in my lifetime trading at 130, 32 forever. If it goes down there, whew, we are going to have some issues, okay? So we are watching everything. Everything is interconnected. Remember that. And remember what I said about the yen carry trade. As people unwind, people are going to get hurt. And we don't know who's going to get hurt until they get hurt. And the problem is counterparty exposures. Everybody's connected. This is why I'm worried and have been worried about the yen carry trade. Okay? So any question, like and follow, put it into the comments. And if anybody can help me on this shadow ban, by the way, should I repost the video from yesterday or it doesn't matter? Thank you very much. Thank you for listening, and please comment.